Starting off with the Angels, and I have Joe Adell. Last year, he was showing signs of finally living up to his hype, hitting 20 homers and stealing 15 bags. But so far this year, he's looking lost again. He's only hitting 194, a 261 on base, a 361 on the slugging, a 75 WRC+, OPS overall at 622, and he only has one stolen base. For the Astros, I got Christian Walker. Now, I really like this signing in the offseason because I thought his right-handed power would fit well with the Crawford boxes in left field, but so far, he's not doing all that much. He's only hitting 212, 277 on base, a 365 on the slugging, an 83 WRC+. I mean, sure, he's on pace for around 20 homers, but I was expecting a lot more than this. For the Athletics, I got Osvaldo Bido. Now, I was high on Bido coming into the year because he had a 3.36 FIP last season with under half a home run per nine, but this year, he's struggling big time. 9 starts, ERA at a 5.82, FIP at a 6.12, and he's giving up almost 2 home runs per 9, and now he's back in AAA. On to the Blue Jays, and I got Anthony Santander. Not only is he the most disappointing player for the Blue Jays so far, but he's been one of the most disappointing players in all of baseball. This guy hit over 40 home runs last season, got himself a fat contract in the offseason, but so far these numbers are looking terrible. Only hitting 181, on base at a 268, slugging at a 308, a WRC plus at 66. He has a negative 0.8 Fangraph wins above replacement. That's one of the worst in all of baseball. For the Braves, I have Michael Harris II. Here's a guy who's been one of the top young players in the game for a bit now, and despite the injuries he had last year, he was projected for a solid season this year. However, he's not doing all that hot. He's hitting 223, on base at a 255, slugging at a 332, a 57 WRC plus. Now, he does have 9 stolen bases, but the bat just hasn't been there so far. On to the Brewers, and one guy that I was high on this year for them was Joey Ortiz, who showed some good things in his rookie season last year. Now, he didn't have amazing numbers offensively, but he had a 104 WRC plus while playing some great defense, so I thought he would build upon that. But so far this year, he's only hitting 180 with a 39 WRC plus. For the Cardinals, I got to go with Jordan Walker. And yeah, there is some fatigue building here because it feels like Walker's been in this spot for a while now, despite being one of the top prospects in the game, but he still hasn't been able to figure it out, hitting 215, a 273 on base, a 310 on the slugging, a 66 WRC plus, only a few homers. Now, I still have hope with Walker. I still think there's a lot of upside in the bat, but man, he has really got to start figuring this out. On to the Cubs, and I'll go with Ian Happ. Now, I'll be honest here. There wasn't really a clear-cut candidate for this spot, in my opinion. Now, I could see some people going with one of the top prospects in the game, Matt Shaw, because he got sent back down to the minor leagues recently. But since coming back up, he has been hitting very well. So I'll go with Ian Happ. Now, if anything, I'm nitpicking here because he's not really having a bad year. He's hitting 256, a 347 on base. But I'm looking at the slugging, only 354, only 3 homers on the year, a 103 WRC plus. That's compared to a slugging of 441 last year, a slugging of 431 back in 2023, and a WRC plus of at least 120. So that power, that pop has gone down a little bit this year, but still, nonetheless, he is still being productive. I'd just like to see a little bit more pop. For the Diamondbacks, I got Zach Gallen. Now, here's a guy that was supposed to be the co-ace with Corbin Burns this year, but instead, he's getting hit hard. 12 starts, 66 and 2/3 innings pitched, ERA at a 5.54, FIP at a 4.57. The strikeouts are down, the walks are up. He's giving up home runs at a faster rate this year compared to any time over the last 3 years. Now, a big reason for that has been the curveball. It's been getting hit a lot harder this year. The cutter has been getting wrecked with him this year. He's giving up more fly balls, less ground balls. So Zach Gallen, I think with him, it's really just the command, the location, and he's just getting hit hard here. So let's see if he can get himself back on track. And also, he is a free agent after this season, so he's going to have to figure something out if he wants to get a big payday. On to the Dodgers, and I'll go with Michael Conforto here. Now, I could see a lot of people going with Roki Sasaki here after struggling so far in the majors, and now he's hurt. Tyler Glasnow's on the IL again, but I'll steer clear of guys that are injured, and with Roki Sasaki, it is his first year in the major leagues, so I'll pump the brakes a little there. But with Conforto, he's been a very bad signing so far. He has a negative 0.3 Fangraph wins above replacement. He's only hitting 172, on base at a 312, slugging at a 287, WRC plus at a 79, only 3 homers. That's not good value. On to the Giants, and I got to go with Willy Adames. Now, the Giants just signed Adames this past offseason to a 7-year, $182 million contract, but so far, that's not looking like money well spent. Now, the defense is still looking pretty good, but the bat, not so much. He's only hitting 208, a 288 on base, a 333 on the slugging, a 77 WRC plus, a 621 OPS, the lowest numbers of his career up to this point, and even the advanced metrics aren't looking all that great. So right now, this is not looking like a very good signing. For the Guardians, I got Big Christmas, Jean-Kenzie Noel. Now, last year, he was a solid bat for the Guardians in their run to the ALCS, posting a 486 slugging, but so far this year, he's only got a 237 slugging with only 2 homers. For the Mariners, I go with Donovan Solano. Now, I can see people saying this is just a waste of a pick, but for me, he was one of the only couple moves the Mariners made this past offseason, and he hasn't really done anything. He has a negative 0.6 F4. He's hitting 178, a 218 on base, a 205 slugging, a 24 WRC plus, not even 1 home run. He's not a big home run hitter anyway, but still, I mean, my goodness, Donovan Solano, can we pick it up a little bit more, please? For the Marlins, I go with Sandy Alcantara. Now, I know, he's just coming back from Tommy John, but I mean, come on, many guys have come back from Tommy John, and they pitched a lot better than this. 11 starts, 51 innings pitched, ERA at an 8.47, FIP at a 5.36, a negative 0.2 F4. He's allowing more walks this year. His home run allowed rate is the highest it's been since his rookie season. Now, with Alcantara, he was supposed to be one of the biggest trade chips at the deadline this year, and with numbers like these, his value is not looking great right now. On to the Mets, and yep, I'm going to go with Juan Soto here. I can see some people thinking this is just clickbait, but no, I think Juan Soto has been pretty disappointing up to this point. Now, I do think at some point he's going to get back to his usual numbers. The track record has been very good with him in his career. I think he's on pace to be a Hall of Famer one day, but right now, these numbers are not looking all that great. Now, when it comes to the plate discipline, it is still very solid. It has a 352 on base, but that's down compared to what it's been over recent years, especially last year with the Yankees. He's only hitting 224, has a 393 slugging. That is way down from last year. 8 home runs, a 113 WRC plus. I mean, these numbers are not what we've seen in recent years with Juan Soto. Now, he's making $50 million this year, and he is not putting up numbers that are anywhere near that value. So he is absolutely going to have to get it going here. On to the Nationals, and I'll go with Dylan Cruz. Now, after getting drafted 2nd overall a couple of years ago, he came up last year, had a cup of coffee over 31 games, but so far this year, he's struggling big time, hitting 196, a 266 on base, 354 on the slugging, a 74 WRC plus. Now, he does have 7 homers. He's stealing some bags. He's got 11 so far, but we need to see more consistency with the bat from Dylan Cruz. He's on the IL right now with an oblique strain, so let's see if he can get himself going more when he comes back. On to the Orioles, and I wish I can just go with Mike Elias here for the terrible offseason he had, but if I got to go with a player, I'll go with Heston Kjerstad. And honestly, the Orioles as a team have been a major disappointment this year, but with Heston Kjerstad, he was the 2nd overall pick back in 2020, big expectations. However, these numbers are not looking good, hitting 190, a 238 on base, a 307 slugging, a 55 WRC plus, 4 homers. He has a negative 0.9 F4. That's by far the worst on the team and one of the worst in all of Major League Baseball. For the Padres, I'll go with Xander Bogaerts. Now, to be honest, there wasn't really a clear-cut candidate for me here, but I would like to see Xander get it going a little bit more. He's hitting 249, has a 335 on base, but I want to see a bit more pop. He only has a 346 on the slugging, a 94 WRC plus. Now, he is stealing bases at a faster rate than any point in his career. He has 11 stolen bases so far through 54 games, so that is a positive, and he is playing pretty good defense out there. However, I just want to see a bit more pop, especially with the money that he's making. On to the Phillies, and I didn't think I'd ever say Aaron Nola would be a disappointment, but through 9 starts this year, he has the worst ERA of his career at a 6.16, FIP at a 5.00. Now, the strikeout and walk rate are still looking pretty good this year, but he's allowing almost 2 home runs per 9, the highest rate of his career. Now, he's out with an ankle injury right now, so hopefully he gets himself right when he comes back. For the Pirates, I would love to go with the owner, Bob Nutting, here for never spending money, but since I got to go with a player, I'll go with Brian Reynolds. And sure, he did have a good game recently, going 4 for 4 with a go-ahead 3-run home run against the Diamondbacks. But overall this year, it's been his worst season since 2020, hitting .222, a .290 on base, a .366 slugging, and 80 WRC plus. He does have 7 homers, so he's on pace for around 20 for the year, but he has a negative 0.5 F4. Now, the advanced metrics do look pretty good with him, so I do expect that he's going to get it going a bit more here as we move forward. But considering he's the highest paid player up to this point, the Pirates offense has been terrible this year, I think Brian Reynolds has to be picking it up. On to the Rangers, and I got to go with Marcus Semien. And honestly, the entire Rangers offense has been a disappointment this year, but holy cow, what the heck happened to Marcus Semien? Now, there was some regression last year, but he still hit 23 home runs, and he had a solid track record before that. But this year, he's only hitting 173, a .260 on base, a .224 slugging, a 42 WRC plus, that's a .485 OPS overall. But these are way under his career averages. And another big difference is he's chasing outside the zone a lot more this year. I don't know, man. Marcus Semien, he just looks really off. And with the amount of money that he's getting paid, that's pretty disappointing. For the Rays, I got Shane Baz. Now, he came back last year after getting Tommy John, and he looked pretty solid with an ERA of 3.06, but this year he's been very inconsistent. 10 starts, 54 and 2/3 innings pitched, ERA and FIP close to a 5. The big reason is his slider is getting absolutely clobbered, while he's not getting many swing and misses either, and the fastball has been more hittable this year. For the Red Sox, I got Tanner Houck. Now, the Red Sox as a whole have been extremely disappointing after the big offseason they had, but the one guy I'm looking at is Tanner Houck. Now, last year, he solidified himself as a 2 or at least a 3 in the rotation, had a solid year, ERA just over a 3 over 30 starts, but this year, that's ballooned to an 8.04. He's had a couple of starts in which he's given up at least 11 earned runs. My goodness. FIP at a 6.09, a negative 0.4 F4. The walks are up this year. The sweeper, the splitter have been getting pounded this year. 2 good pitches for him last year. He's giving up less ground balls, more fly balls, more line drives. He's just getting pounded this year, and that's very disappointing, especially with the expectations the Red Sox had this year. For the Reds, I got Matt McLain. Now, I've always been a big fan of Matt McLain, even after he missed all of last year because of a shoulder injury, but this year, it seems like he's still trying to find himself, but to me, that is pretty disappointing because of the caliber of player that he is and the potential that he has. Only hitting 179 on base at a 278, slugging at a 306, a WRC plus at only 61. For the Rockies, I got to go with Chris Bryant. Now, is this a boring pick because he's pretty much the same pick every single time I do this video? Yes. But is it the correct pick? Yes. At least I think so. His contract continues to look like one of the worst in baseball. He's getting paid an average of $26 million per year, and he's only played 11 games this year because of injury. My goodness. But if I got to go with a player that's actually playing, I'll go with Michael Toglia. Now, here for a lot of power last year, 25 homers, over a 450 on the slugging, but this year, the numbers are way down. He's only hitting 198, a 357 on the slugging. That's way down from last year. Only 6 homers, and he's close to a 40% strikeout rate. For the Royals, I'll go with Jonathan India. Now, I like the trade of India for Brady Singer this past offseason for both sides. The Royals side being, I thought his swing would actually fit pretty well there with all the big gaps they have. He's a guy that I see being more of a doubles hitter, not really a power kind of a guy. So I thought he would thrive in that environment, but instead, he's only hitting 239. The on-base is okay at a 336, but he's only slugging 309 and 87 WRC plus. He's not really playing, great defense at any of these positions. He has a negative 0.7 F4. Maybe it's time to get India back to a hitter-friendly park. For the Tigers, I got Bo Brisky. Now, last year, he was one of their best relievers, throwing just under 70 innings with an ERA and FIP in the mid-3s, while only giving up 5 home runs all year. This year, though, through 17 games, he's already given up 4 home runs and has an ERA at a 5.00 with a FIP close to a 6. On to the Twins, and I got Simeon Woods Richardson. Now, last year, he did post pretty decent numbers at only 23 years old with an ERA and FIP just over a 4. The strikeout to walk ratio was pretty good. Wasn't giving up a lot of home runs, but this year, ERA at a 5.02, FIP at a 5.25. He's giving up almost 2 home runs per 9, and he just got sent back down to AAA. For the White Sox, I got Luis Robert. Now, he was supposed to be one of the top trade chips of the deadline this year, and while he has stayed healthy, which is a big plus for him, and he does have 21 stolen bases through 51 games. He's not really doing anything at the plate, hitting 190, a 276 on base, a 307 slugging, a 66 WRC plus, 5 homers. Let's see if he can get it going here, because the White Sox, I think, would very much like that, so they can get more in return for a trade. And last but not least, for the Yankees, I got to go with Devin Williams. And sure, he has pitched better as of late. ERA at a 2.16 over his last 9 games. Does have a pretty solid FIP overall this year at a 3.22, but he was brought in to be the closer, and he lost that job early on. He had an ERA over 10 over his first 14 games, and again, has pitched better lately, but I think losing the closer role is pretty disappointing after being one of the best closers in the game the last few years. But everybody, those are my picks. Tell me your picks down below in the comments. But that's all I got for right now, everyone. If you can on the way out, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.